One, two, three, let's go. We are live, and let me just check in that the sound is working great. And today is amazing topic because this may sound controversial, but that's the true fact. Because you cannot keep what you're not willing to give away. But let me see how the sound comes through, and you can drop in a chat if you can hear me well, so I can know that all good. Yes, yes, yes. I just check on my phone as well. See that the sound is working good, and we're gonna do some screen sharing. Okay, so first of all, if we want more in life, we need to become more. And let me share the screen now. So let me just do that 1 second. Okay. How can I do it? Share the window. And bear with me, I am myself just doing it for the first few times. This is the first second live that is happening. Let me check if I can. Chrome tab. Oh, let me just get it back. Let me get back to that. I opened the slide, and whilst there's some technical difficulties, just wanted to encourage you guys. See, the thing is, the biggest stopper that everyone has is actually the illusion that you have to get everything right before actually you can do it. See, the thing is, you have value to give. You already know what you know, and you don't have to be perfect. You just have to start where you are. Hey, Arthur, how is the sound? I'm just trying to check in how I can share the screen again, because this is it. Okay, I got it. I'm gonna now connect here. Working screen, no screen. Screen is coming. Let's go. Yes, share it. Good. Perfect. Okay, so this is today's topic. Who wants more love? Who wants more joy? Who wants more wealth or health? Strength or courage? I hope that you guys seen that on the screen, because at the moment it's kind of a little bit lagging. It should come through. Okay. Yes, it's there. You see, we all want more, but the question is that how can you get more in life? And the secret to this is you must become more. You must become more. If you want more love, you need to become more loving. If you want more joy, you need to become more joyful. So think about a time when you maybe were tired and you still went out. Maybe went for a run, maybe went for a swim, maybe went for a training session in the gym. Okay? Not necessarily you need to go to the gym, but in general. So you went out there, you did something. And then what happened when you finished the training session? You see, something changed. No longer you were tired, now you were alive. Okay? Not because of eating we get more energy, but actually, if you want more energy, we need to give out more energy. Okay? And that's the same with love. If you want more love in life, you need to become more loving. And if you want more friends, you need to become more friendly. It's simple as that. Because how a person learns to drive a bicycle is by riding a bicycle, not by swimming. Okay. And that is that paradox. And it's so simple, but at the same time, it's not that straightforward. So today, people can overcome pain when they choose to see the beauty in life. And they find a way to let go of themselves. It is that precisely there that the gift of healing arises, when we let go. The key is to find something that inspires you to want to give, and that is the feeling of mission. And that's why actually we do these men's groups. Well, you are here live, I'm here. We're doing this is free, No one is paying for that, but I'm showing up, you're showing up. You see, because it's my mission, it's something that deep down inside of me creates that sense of purpose, that I'm doing something more than just, working all the time and just earning money. But of course, in ideal world, if you can do what is your mission and you can earn money with that, is great. But if not, then I encourage everyone actually to focus on the things that brings you joy. And we're going to touch basics later, which are the few areas that everyone can focus on to actually change their circumstances. Okay? Because in that moment, you truly become rich. So some people think that the only way to get rich is to get money. Okay? But how many people do you know who have money, but yet they are miserable or sad? I remember I was doing property marketing, so going around London and going into a property. And in that property, I actually seen a guy. He was sitting there and just drinking coffee. And that coffee, when he was sitting there and drinking, and I was thinking to myself, I would not want to be this person who is there alone and just sitting there and drinking the coffee. Yes, in that nice house in central London, but that's not what I consider as joy in my life. Because I do believe that we are truly experiencing life when we are sharing. We truly are experiencing life and we are sharing. And when God created man and put him in the Garden of Eden, he said, not Adam, not the man, but God said, it's not good for man to be alone. Okay, so God created something wonderful. He created you. But he also said that it's not good for you to be alone. Therefore, he created Eve. So we are meant to be in communities. We are meant to be in relationships. We are meant to do this together. And that's the foundation of this men's group. And that's why I'm doing it, because I so much missed men around me. Because, well, as you know, my story, I come from a broken family and my dad wasn't there. I needed to figure out everything myself through trial and error. And then realizing in life is like, why other people are moving faster in life and why I'm so slow? Why I'm still stuck 14 years in hospitality? Because I didn't know anything better. I didn't had any example. I didn't had anything that could show me the way. Okay, and that usually comes from family, and if not from family, maybe it's a teacher at school or in university, and maybe that's a friend or friend's family, or maybe that's your mentor and coach, but it's always someone. And so we build our own knowledge on someone else's knowledge, because when you go through, let's say, studies, they teach you something that someone else has learned, realized, experienced, and then actually they give this to other people. And that's also what we do here in this men's group. So that's why I'm actually sharing this, in a hope that you can be encouraged, you can be inspired, and you leave this place transformed and completely different. And something will gonna change in your life if you keep showing up. Because the same like in a gym, the same like in a gym, if you do the training once, nothing will gonna happen. And the same, no one has ever lost weight by eating cheeseburger once. But what you do consistently is who you become. Okay, and your identity, so your personality is your personal reality, but what determines your personality is those day-to-day actions and the steps that you take. So let me share again the um, this. I'm getting my hand into it. I'm getting better now with sharing the screens and everything. Well, I need to do it more often, and the more I do, the better we're going to be. So, in that moment, and which moment? Okay, in that moment, in that moment, okay, when we let go, okay, in that moment when we let go, and they find a way to let go themselves, it is precisely there that the gift of healing arises. Okay, that's the moment. Okay, and when we let go, the key is to find something that inspires you to want to give, and that is the feeling of mission. Okay, so what I want to inspire you to give, because when you give, then you have some sort of meaning and purpose, and the same like me giving this to you and this experience, this knowledge, and this community, because that comes from my own personal pain. Okay, and in that moment you truly become rich. Because question I could ask, what does it mean to be rich to you? What does it mean to be rich? How do you know that you are rich? And you can know that you're rich when you would have all the money, and then what would you do? If I would have all the money and I would not need to work for money, I would do more of this. I would do more of these men's groups. I was going to be connecting more with men, because that's my passion and my drive. And in that moment, we actually become rich. And at this moment, I cannot say myself that I am rich, because I'm still going to work to earn the money. I still have to do the things that I have to do, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how about if we live a life as a purpose, and yet we also do what's necessary? So we do what's necessary, but we have something that gives us drive and passion, like giving to others. Okay. So in that moment, you shift from nearly enjoying life to living with joy and purpose. And that is that journey that I want you guys to encourage. I want you guys to encourage to embark on this journey with purpose, because you will always do more for other people than you will be doing for yourself. The highest level of energy is doing it for other people. Okay. If I were gonna be honest and say, look, if it would just be for yourself, you could probably say, well, I can not take a shower for a few days. I may not change t-shirts every single day. I may not even change socks for a few days. And I don't need that expensive car. I don't need that expensive house. I don't need those expensive bills. You see, that's for ourselves. But when, for example, we would need to impress the girl, we would dress up, we would get in shape, we would get the haircut done. Mine is complete mess. I'm actually growing longer hair because I'm getting married, and then I watched the video which says like it's not good to have a skin fade for the wedding, because in a wedding suit it doesn't look good. So that's why I have the hat, because my hair is complete mess. But you then start doing things that you would otherwise not do. So the highest level of drive and energy that you'll ever have is when you're going to be doing something for others. So that's serving, that's giving. Okay. So if we go back to this, let me show you. So if we go back here to the mission, okay. Okay. The key is to find something that inspires you to want to give. And that is the feeling of mission. And that mission is always connected with other people. Our life, our purpose is always connected with other people. We are not meant to do this life by ourselves. And that's why I said that when God created Adam, he placed in the Garden of Eden, and God said, it's not good for man to be alone. It's not that Adam said, I don't want to be alone. That means that we are meant to be in community, and that's why we have also this men's group, and that's why you have opportunity to join, because I do believe when a man gets better, everyone wins. And that's the foundation. Okay. So in that moment you truly become rich when you actually have that passion and drive. And what gives that is when you start doing things for other people, not just for yourself. Okay. So number one, miscommunication. The people say you should be doing everything for other people. No. And you shouldn't also just focusing on yourself as well. No. But priority is, if you want to help a homeless person, the number one rule is not to become one. Okay. Of course, you have to take care of yourself. Number one, you have to take care of yourself. And then after, you can take care of others. It always starts with us. You always starts with filling us up ourselves. Because if we give from a place of lack, then all that we give is to get. And all that we give is resentment, manipulation, hurt, and disappointment. Okay, so that's why it's very, very important is to understand yourself. And that's why we have this group called, where you'll be having the opportunity to learn about yourself more and hopefully do those necessary transformations. Okay, because you can bring the horse to the water, but you cannot force them to drink. Okay, uh, let's go back to the slides. So when you master these three things in life, you change instantly. Okay, so what are those three things? So first is gratitude. So when you focus on what you when you focus on what you lack rather than what you have already. So gratitude is changing the focus, because always what's bad is available, but so does is what's good. But if I ask you a question, and that's why we usually do these men's group coaching calls. What is the win of the week? What are we celebrating? What is the one thing that went well? What is the one thing that you learned? What is the one thing where you moved forward? What is that one thing that you're grateful? Because both of them exist at the same time. Because in this given moment, there's people who go through heartbreaks, there's people who give birth and is new life created, and there's people who are dying. In the same very moment, there's people who are getting into exciting new relationships, and people who are going through a breakup. There's people who are establishing new startups and people who are closing down their businesses. All of this is happening today. So it's not that it is always happening. And you're going to explain your situation and maybe share more about your story, then you will realize that you are not unique, you're not special, and not in a bad way, but that means other people are going through this exactly the same. Okay, and that is an encouraging place, because now you can see, okay, if someone has done it already, then I can find someone who has done it, learn from them. How did they overcome it? That's what it is all about. So we come together, we learn a few people who do this internal work that we are doing now. Okay, so gratitude is the number one. Number one. And I remember when I was going through heartbreak, I was gonna be driving a car, and I was gonna feel completely destroyed, and I was just gonna go in a car and I was just gonna praise, and I'm Christian, so I pray out loud, and I just like, thank you, God, for the day. Thank you for this opportunity to live. Thank you for this opportunity to be here and to connect with those people. Thank you for the business, and thank you for the resources, and thank you for another chance. So there's always something. And if you truly deep down think that there's nothing left, then I would just encourage to touch your heart and feel it. And you feel your heart and see that it's a gift from God. You have not done anything for it to beat in your chest. You don't have to do anything, and it is beating. And it has taken you through all the difficult seasons in life that has been in the past and has got to this place. And you hadn't to do nothing. Okay? Is that wonderful? Of course. And as long as you're still alive, you still have another option. And sometimes when the things are at its darkest, an option and another chance actually means a choice. So when things are at its darkest, that second chance that we've been looking for, it is actually our choice. And from that place, what choices we're gonna make will determine where we're gonna go. Okay, so second thing that you need to master is forgiveness. When you live life with compassion, you realize that we are all in this life together, and we all make mistakes. Even you, even you. I understand. I completely understand. It's not your fault. It's someone else's fault. It's your mom. It's your dad, it's the government, it's the ex, it's your boss. I know you would like to give all the power to them. But if you will expect for everyone to change to improve your circumstances, then you are losing all the opportunities, because it is way easier to change yourself than to change everyone. And that is actually an empowerment. That is when you come from a place of empowerment, and that is when you actually take control back. But that means you have to take ownership, because if you actually will be taking ownership for all the successes in your life, maybe you did the competition, maybe you learned the piano, maybe you did something else, if you're going to take this as your credit, as your achievement, then also all the failures is on you. Maybe that business relationship didn't work out, or maybe those you didn't got those clients. Maybe it wasn't because of them. Maybe it wasn't because of your competitors. Maybe you just didn't know how to do sales. Maybe from that place you can learn. Maybe from that place you can get wisdom, and from that place you can improve and get to the next level. And how powerful is that? And that is a place of power. So what's the third thing? So what's the third thing? Can you guess? So the third is serving. Serving. When you serve others with your experience and the lessons you learn, you realize that this is your mission. You see, my grandma said that when I was younger, I was I was so silly, and that's it. And now the question is this: apparently, she knows something. She has realized something, but she's not sharing it with me. The audio is breaking. Arthur, can you hear me? I hope the audio is good. Let me just check. Hello, hello. Let me just check on the phone. Yeah. Can you hear me? 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. The audio. Ah. Let me try. Oh, let me try to disconnect this microphone. How can I do this? I'm back now. I'm back now. Yes. How's the sound? Yes. How's the sound? Okay. Good, 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 good. I'm not sure what was the problem, but we're back on track. And let me just check. So now the sound should be all right. How is the sound now? How's the sound now? Probably need to be more here in the chat and see what's going on there. Keep an eye, one eye on the chat. Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you, Arthur. Like, where did you lost the sound? Where did you lost the sound? What was the last thing that you heard? What was the last thing? What was the last thing? And I can repeat that so you have everything. Drop it in the chat. I take a sip of water for meanwhile. Okay, 5 minutes. No problem. Let me now go back to the slides. Okay. How's everyone doing? Enjoying the sun today? From where are you guys connecting? I can see there's five people online. I don't know from where you guys connecting. Don't be shy. Drop in the chat. Let's get connected because this is about getting connected. It's not a show. It's actually the opportunity for us to be connected. I'm sharing the screen now. Okay, people can overcome. Yes. So we'll see how it goes. You can see the screen now. So people can overcome pain when they choose to see the beauty in life. And so what's the beauty in life? Okay. When they find a way to let go themselves, it is precisely there that the gift of healing arises. And I'm gonna explain more on that healing. Okay. The key is to find something that inspires you to want to give. That is the feeling of mission. Because the mission is always connected with other people. And that's the message of today. Because your pain is always connected to your mission, and your mission and purpose in life is always connected with other people. Because that is the highest level of energy where you can actually give more, where you can actually be more. Because for ourselves, we would not need all of that. But when it is for our colleagues, maybe it is for that lady or the girl that we want to impress, we will become more than we actually would just do it for ourselves. And maybe that's being in that community, let's say like here in this men's group, where we call each other out on things, where we actually challenge each other. I just mute a little bit if the sound is great, where we actually encourage each other to step up and do more. Actually, Arthur and me, we just completed the June challenge, and Arthur, well done on that. You see, the beginning is hard, but the more you do, the easier it gets. But the hardest part is to do it every single day. And that's the same with these coaching sessions that we run. I have to show up, and that's the hardest part, but that's the muscle that we are training. We're training by showing up, we're training by encouraging. And if it would not be for you, I would not do what I'm doing. Because when we have sense of purpose, then we are able to do way more. And that means even if we apply the same thing in a business, if you find a problem and you are solving the problem, that is called service, customer service. You're serving your customers, and as a reward they give you the resources, the finances, as a thank you. And that's universal principle. Okay, let's go back to the slides. So you need to find something that inspires you to want to give. And that is the feeling of mission. That's the feeling of being on fire. In that moment, you truly become rich. In that moment, you shift from merely enjoying life to living with joy and purpose. Okay? So if I will ask you, how do you define rich? How do you define rich? Drop it in the chat. How do you define rich? What is rich for you? Freedom. Yes. Okay. Cool. So look at that. If you would not need to work anymore, what would you do? That's freedom. Because we go to work to earn money to pay the bills. Okay. And then we may have to do the things that we don't want to do just so we could pay the bills and we could then do what we want. Okay, so there is no complete freedom because we're limited, because there's time that we cannot really do what we want, so we don't really have the freedom. And that's okay. That's a season. That's what we go through. Okay, that's not good or bad. It's just seasons for everything, and that's a season. But the goal is to go through that season with a purpose of thinking like, what is actually the freedom, what is actually that I want from this life. Okay, and what rich means for me. And rich is simply when you don't have to work for money, what would you do? Let me see if the sound works. Okay, yeah, it's good. So if you would not have to work, what would you do? What would you do? And for me, I would do more of these men's groups. I would do more of these coaching sessions, because that's what I do. Like, look, this is for free. This is free. I'm doing this for multiple years already. But in me doing this, I'm improving my communication skills. I am building that men's community. I'm learning, you're learning, and we all get better. Okay. And that's what I call rich. That's what I call rich. And my encouragement is thinking like, what would you do if you would not need to work for money? Because there would still be some work, because when God placed people in the Garden of Eden, he straight away said, God placed men in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And there was no money at that time, but working and taking care of it was, maybe taking care of the garden. And my question is, what is your garden? Okay. And if we are not actually doing anything, then we may find ourselves like being a tool without a use, being a screwdriver just in a shed. Okay. And that is where we're not going to have the full confidence, and that is where we're not going to experience the life uh, that we are called to do, because we're all been gifted with gifts, but all of our gifts comes undeveloped, and it is our mission to develop them. But first of all, acknowledging what are those gifts. And my gift is communication, and the more I do this, the more I get, the more I improve. Okay. And maybe I'm not doing it for money, but I'm doing it for improvement. I'm doing it because it feels good. It feels good to me. Okay. So when you master these three things, your life will change instantly. Okay. Sound is good. Losing again. Losing again. I'm just thinking, losing the internet. I can see it's coming in and out. Maybe it's the internet that is rubbish. Okay. You are back. Yes, I am back. I am back. I'm back. Yes. Sorry, guys, if there is a technical issues with the internet, that could explain that. I don't see any other reason why it is happening this way. But well, this is learning curve for me. I will have to look into it and see how we can avoid this from happening in the future. Although I have a business connection, like a business Wi-Fi, but apparently it's not that stable. Okay. If you are back now and you can hear it, then I wanted to share this. They are the three things that you need to master to change your life instantly. So if you are here, drop in a chat anything. Type five. Type five. Give me five. Give me five. So I know that I can carry on, that the internet is working and you can hear me. Just drop five. Let me check. Who is here online? Just drop five. I see 100. Yes, very good. Okay, perfect. Okay, when you master these three, you will your life will gonna change instantly. Why? Let me explain this. So first is gratitude. Focus not on what you lack, but focus on what you have already. Because simply, when you focus on what you're lacking, then how do you feel? But when you focus on what you have, how then you feel? And it is completely different results. It may be the same situation, but it's completely different feeling, and that determines how you're going to respond and how you're going to act. Because remember, the decisions that we're going to make will determine the outcome or the destination where we're going to go. And that's why in the men's group, in the coaching sessions, we always start with gratitude. We always start with wins of the week. And that can be the biggest challenge, because we could tell everything that's going wrong, everything that is not working. And that's how people connect, by complaining. But if I would ask you a question, what's working? What are you celebrating? What is the win in the last week? And then, truly and honestly, many people would struggle. Many people would struggle. But it always, if we were going to take credit for our wins, then we also have to take credit for our losses. Okay. So, what we want to do, we want to take credit for our wins, but we want to just focus on the lack. And that's where we get stuck, because we want bigger life, we want more money, we want more love, we want more joy, but we're focusing on I don't have, I don't have, or I don't have. But when we become that person who has more resources, when we become the person who has more love, then when we become that person who has more joy, then all of a sudden you see that it attracts other people around you. Okay. Simple example: is it easier to make friends with joyful person or sad person? 100%. It's easier. But then, will that joyful person will want to be around a sad person? No, maybe. Okay, if you're talking emotional level. But I'm not saying that you need to change people in your life. But maybe you then have to become that light in that environment. Okay, forgiveness. So many people are stuck in the past, and that's what's stopping them from moving forward. And I was watching documentary, and in the documentary was a lady who was in a woman's prison, and she was in a woman's prison, and she was very angry at her mom. And then her life has changed. And so that interview was, there was a question like, why wouldn't you forgive your mom for what she has done? Because she also has done the mistakes, same like you, and we all have. You see. So what I'm writing here about forgiveness is, when you live with compassion, you realize that we all are in a life together, and we all make mistakes, even you. And the question was, when she realized that her mom has also made the mistakes, and the question was, why don't you forgive her? And she said, but if I forgive her, then what's left for me? Because she's now in prison. You see, sometimes that unforgiveness gets us stuck and keeps us stuck from moving forward. And then once you learn to forgive, and that doesn't mean that you don't feel it anymore, but that means that you will not take action on it and you will not react to it. And with time, it heals and it goes away. And then you can talk about it freely. Okay. And then the third one is serving. Do you know that in rehab, once they finish the rehab, one of the first things that they have to do, they have to find someone that they're going to be looking after. Because if they find that person who is in need, maybe that other person who's struggling with some addictions, then that gives them more accountability not to slide back. Because if I'm going to tell you, let's say, not to take drugs, but then how will I feel if I take the drugs? So you may not see it. I may do that behind a corner, but how am I going to feel? And of course, sooner or later, I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. So to not get to that place of where you have to struggle with yourself because you say one thing and do the other thing, because then you look down on yourself and the confidence goes, is you actually have to level up. And the first thing how to level up is when you're actually serving and doing things for other people. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. Because when I need to show up for you guys, that means I need to study, I need to learn, I need to grow, I need to become more. And the more I grow, the more you can grow. And that's what I said. I do believe when a man gets better, everyone wins. Okay. And when you serve to others with your experience and the lessons you have learned, you realize that this is your mission. And maybe you think, why this happened to me? Why this happened to me? Why I needed to go through these difficulties? And maybe you're going through difficulties right now. And you're thinking, why? Why it's happening to me? But if you understand that this is so you could step into your purpose, So you could learn what to do and how to overcome it and how to deal with it, and then help other people with it. Now, all of a sudden, anything that you're going through and you're facing serves a purpose because there's a mission, and the mission is always connected with other people and helping, teaching them the lessons that you have learned so they don't have to take the hard road. Do you know actually, there's three ways: the easy, the hard, and the tragic. You want to know what's the easy way? The easiest way to learn from others' mistakes. The hard way is to learn from your own mistakes, and the third is not to learn at all. That's the tragic way. Yeah. Okay. So in 2013, a study was created by Dr. Susan Richards and her colleagues in the University of Exeter, and the title was "Is volunteering a public health promotional tool?" Okay, and what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Does volunteering actually helps mental health? It's more health, not physical, more like mental here. Okay. So this review provides compelling evidence that volunteering is associated with lower levels of depression, higher levels of satisfaction, improved overall well-being, and significantly lowers mortality. And that is to do with that sense of mission and purpose, that whatever you do serves meaning and purpose, and you have the drive to wake up in the morning and to do it and to go again. Because when all that we do is just focus on ourselves, then sooner or later we get to the point, it's like, what's the point? Because we can only enjoy life when we are sharing those moments. Okay, and also when we're sharing our struggles, because problem shared becomes 50% easier. And I remember when I came here to UK, I was tough, was challenging, didn't have friends, didn't have the language, was feeling lonely. But I had this one friend, so we were calling each other on the phone and just talking and just complaining and just venting ourselves. And you know what? I felt easier, but I was still doing the same thing, still working in the pub, still cleaning those toilets, still cleaning those shelves, but it just felt so much easier. And look, now life has transformed because I had that support. So we have to share. We don't have to hide away and actually live smaller lives, when we actually have to think about whatever we are going through, how we can service these other people. And that requires confidence, strength, and vulnerability, because people may judge, people may have opinions, but that is actually when you face the rejection, because the life actually truly starts after the rejection. Because think about that, if you want to approach the girl and you're scared of rejection, then you don't approach the girl, so you stay single forever. But if you go and approach and then you get rejected, you dust yourself off a little bit, and then what happens? You go again. And once you manage to deal with the rejection, then it doesn't stop you anymore, and then you keep going, and it's just a number game. So if you're gonna approach, let's say, 100 girls, you'll definitely go on a date with one of them. No, no, 100, if you approach 100 girls, you're gonna get a date. Just the question is like, can you approach 100 girls? And then the question is, what's stopping you? So what's stopping you of approaching 100 clients? What's stopping you to approach 100 girls? What's stopping you actually to do that? And that is actually our fears and our insecurities. Okay, and when we do that in community, everything changes. But not only that, okay, but not only that, giving in any form creates wealth faster than receiving, although it may seem um, paradoxal. Yeah, because if I were gonna give you something, will you be more likely to work with me? So, for example, if I'll say I have a business idea, and then you're going to be able to have a share of it or part of it, will you be more likely to work with me? Yes. If I'll say you're just going to need to work for me, but I'm not going to share with you, then are you more likely to work with me or no? So, see, the thing is, when we are actually giving, that is the opportunity actually for us to create the wealth. Because also, when you are applying this in the business, and when you're, for example, giving service, when you're giving the attention, when you're giving that sense of understanding to the clients, rather than like, okay, in or out, here's the money, give me the, like, here's the service, give me the money, go next. You don't necessarily give to the person, you're only focused on giving and taking, just whatever transaction, just give me the money, give me the money. Then sooner or later you may find out that no one actually wants to do business with you. But if you are actually coming from a place of giving, and you go like, I want to give and I want to care for that person, you're going to be surprised that more and more people will be referring your business, and you're going to be generating and building wealth much faster than only taking. Okay. So that is a paradox, that giving actually makes it faster for you to move forward. Okay. And this is a quote. This is a quote. As we come to an end, I wanted to share this. You cannot keep what you have unless you give it away. And like I said, if you want more love, you can demand it from other people, but you can then start loving more. And the more loving you'll be, the more people will notice you for that. You cannot demand joy from other people. Maybe why she's always like so depressive. How about she has difficulties and you bring joy and maybe have a joke or maybe do something funny and then she smiles. So it's like you need to become that person. If you want more resources, then you need to become more resourceful so you can give it out. And look, for example, if you want more basics in a business, if you want more business, you need to do more. And how can you do more? If you're only one person, you have 24 hours. Then you need to have team. If you have, for example, three people and each of you have 24 hours, that's three times more output. Just a simple math. Okay. But then you have to give them their wages and you have to take care of them. So that means if you're going to give them the money, then they're going to bring you the money by providing the service to your client. So what happens is, if you can give to others, that is where actually you're going to get more. Okay. So that is the paradox, that most of us are focusing on what's missing. And remember, that's why we go back here in the gratitude. Okay. Gratitude. Okay. We are focusing on what's lacking, not on what we have. And when we start focusing on what we have and who we need to become, then all of a sudden things change. Okay. So that is actually a spiritual paradox. Okay. So the effort to tightly hold on to what you have, especially comfort, control, selfishness, often leads to loss. And in a controversial statement, you cannot keep what you have unless you give it away. You see? But when you're ready to let go, through faith, through giving, through service or serving, through emotions, and maybe that is that forgiveness. I will not hold grudge on that person who said this, or maybe the person who crossed the road in the morning and now it's already evening and it's like 8 hours and I'm still angry about that person who crossed the road in front of me when I was driving the car. It's like, get a life, like do something more important, like forget about it, just forgive the person. Maybe they were rushing somewhere. Okay. Maybe that's in that previous relationships that hurt. Maybe that's where you need to let go. Maybe the anger and the resentment, that's what's keeping you from having the joy. Because when you let go, then you can receive. When you let go, then you can receive. That, look, that is the paradox. You cannot keep what you have unless you give it away. Okay. And maybe that is actually, you want to become emotionally more happier, you want to have a more emotional stability, then you have to give away. You have to give away all the things that's holding down, that you are holding down and that's not serving you. And that will require faith. That will require you understanding that, you know what, whatever is the situation, tomorrow we're going to be better. And if not, the next week or next month or next year. And just remember a time, recall a time back when you actually were feeling down. And when you were thinking like, that's it, that's the end, I cannot stand it anymore. and now you're no longer feeling it. It's past, but you have learned the lessons, and those lessons is yours to teach and share with other people, so then they would gonna go through the easy way, and they would not need to go through the hard way, which is going through their own mistakes and their own lessons. And that's how this men's group was created, because I was struggling in life. I wasn't managing my emotions, I wasn't managing my finances, and I was just thinking like, is there someone who can show me the way? Because I grow up without that. And then I decided I need to surround myself with other men and see what they do, see and follow and ask questions. How did you overcome it? Okay. And maybe you then become that person who is showing the way to other people. Okay. And showing the way to me. Okay. We often gain something deeper, lasting, or eternal when we give it a go. When we let go. Okay. So you cannot keep what you have unless you give it away. So forgiveness requires three simple steps. And in previous men's group, we have discussed them already. And that's the experience. So that's the situation that happens, maybe traumatic experience, some. And then the next step two is feeling and healing, that most of us want to escape. And that's when we start with porn. That's where we start with alcohol and drugs. And that's why we start with sleeping around. And that's like all of that is coping mechanisms. Maybe eating sweets is coping mechanisms for us to avoid that feeling. But without feeling, we cannot get to a place of healing, and then we don't get to a place of forgiveness, and that means we are in this loop of constantly experiencing or being triggered, and then trying to avoid the feeling. Because you probably have came across typically for girls is, if you ask them some kind of a personal or challenging question, and they'll say, I don't want to talk about it. And there's something unhealthy, because they don't want to talk about it, because when they talk about it, when they focus on it, then they experience it and then they feel it, and they just don't want to feel it. Therefore they will shove it under the rug and then hope that we're going to disappear, but just to find out that 20 years later they're still struggling with that, and they don't understand why my relationship's not happening, why my life is such a mess, why I'm struggling and suffering so much. Okay. And then they go to therapy sessions, and then work through that, and then go through this process. But understanding, it's okay to feel bad, it's okay to feel low, it's okay to feel lonely, it's okay to feel all this. But now that we have allowed that space, then we can now start asking questions. What is the lesson here? And sometimes it's the lesson I have to forgive myself. Sometimes I was the one who didn't know. Sometimes I was angry and frustrated, because that actually allowed me to protect myself from feeling weak. And just to add on this, when a man usually gets angry, he usually gets angry because when he gets weak. So he goes mental, because then you get back the control, and you don't like to feel weak. Then you just get angry, and by getting angry, you then become important. So you want to feel important, but maybe actually is actually a situation that you don't know. And just by always getting angry and shouting and responding, you never learn. You never become who you are called to be. You don't get to the next level. And actually, when you're feeling and you're healing that experience, then you can actually say, oh man, I actually didn't know how to deal with it. I actually messed up. And in that place, when we acknowledge that, we can then start learning and improving. And then from that place, when we actually realize that, the forgiveness comes, because we understand we are all in this boat, and we are all the same, and we all have messed up, you, me, and everyone else, and your mom and dad, and your girlfriend and government, and so on. And no one is perfect. And then that is the place where we give grace. And here I have some resources. So this book is actually amazing. This helped me a lot, myself. So go check it online and go on audiobooks. This absolutely amazing. So it's called Necessary Ending, and it's not necessarily only about relationships, but it's in general. It's employees, business, and in relationship, that all of us have to give up in order to move forward. And that is actually that place where we let go, so something new can happen. And I strongly recommend, because this is a book that actually helped me a lot. Okay. So it's a personal recommendation. So, and then you may ask, so what's next? What's the next step? Okay. I love everything. Love this, what you say. I want to change. I want to forgive. I want to actually work on myself. And I actually, want more in life, and I'm happy to share. Okay. I'm happy to share. Then what's the next step? The next step is to find a role model, and hopefully you can find it in this group, or if no, you can find maybe someone else, in your friend circle, or maybe it's your relative, or maybe it's some coach or coaching. Find a role model. Why? Simply because role models basically show you the behavior, show the example, and show you that it is possible, and then that gives you the inspiration to be more and do more. So role model someone whose behavior, so role model someone who behaves the way you want to behave, and who can be the example, and his success inspires you to be more and do more. Because we sometimes get stuck in our own limiting beliefs that this is the way how it should be. But if you will look around, and we're going to understand that there's different people and they completely think differently, because the focus for them were going to be different. So someone was like, oh, something happened, it's a tragedy, and they say, oh, something happened now is an opportunity. For example, everyone, when the stock market goes down, everyone does what? Sells, because they're scared. Warren Buffett thinks differently. He said, oh, so that's like when there is a discount. When there is discounts, what do? When it's Black Friday, you sell or buy? You buy. Okay, so when stocks go down, you buy, and that's just a different approach. And just being around different people, you're gonna see that there's different approaches and there's different results. Because at the end of the day, the decisions that you're gonna make will determine the results that you have, and all that is there, it's no one to blame. It's just your decisions that you have made that has got you to this place. But to get to where you are not, you have to make a different decisions. Okay. And then that focus was one of the first points, is what will determine what decisions you're going to make. Because you can focus on the problem, on the lack, or you can actually focus on the solution. Okay. So what will gonna happen when you're gonna find a role model? You're gonna change your focus, because you're gonna see how they respond to different situations. Okay. And you make a different decisions, and when you're gonna make a different decisions, it will then become your reality. Because first of all, you will see that in action. Second of all, you're gonna see that it is possible, and that's when it will gonna become your reality. Okay. So here, men's group, want to join in the men's group, we are doing this coaching calls every second Thursday. And those of you who are watching online, or we're gonna watch replay, I'm gonna put that link in description. Join in this men's group. There's coaching call sessions in this free group that we run. You can join once a month. We do these live sessions, and you're welcome to stay here. But if you actually want to break it down one to one and actually discuss real situations, then this is the opportunity for you. So learn strategies, access exclusive WhatsApp group where we can actually talk and chat and everything. And then these messages were going to stay there as long as you are in this group. So there's two Zoom coaching calls every second week, live questions and answers. If anyone have any answers, we're free to share and group discussions. Okay. And meeting new friends, level up, and get real results. Because what I want actually to do is now, I want actually to get once a month together. Get once a month together. Maybe go for food, maybe go for a run, maybe do something, but just switching only from virtual to also do that one day, so we can actually connect in real life. So next week, Thursday, 8:30, we are doing the coaching call. Okay, for this men's group. There's cost to it, £15 per month, and it's symbolic cost. It's like, well, you go to the gym, how much you pay in the gym, but in the gym you build the muscle. Here you build your brain, because the brain will determine what your future going to hold. The muscle will just determine how you look like, of course, and it's very important for your physical health, but it's also important to train your brain. And actually, Train your emotions, because sometimes we just want to escape, but someone needs to catch us and say, where are you going, what's happening, what's that trigger, and connecting with other people. And that's the benefit. Okay. So even if you miss it, you get recording of the coaching sessions, and there is some bonuses as well. So whenever I have some good resources like templates or tools or videos, or maybe some access to some courses, like my coach myself, I have a coach, then I share that as well here. So this is the link. You can click on it, and then in that you're going to be able to join the men's group stage 3. So there's stage 1, which is for free, and stage 3, that is actually where there is this £15 a month cost. But £15 a month, that's 750 per session, you can say. 750 per session, that's like a coffee and a croissant, just as a thanks for showing up. But I also want to filter people through, because I don't want to be dealing with time wasters, and that's true. Sorry for being that honest. But if you go to a gym and you have a personal trainer, and the personal trainer tells you to lift the weight, and you don't lift the weight, you're not going to have the results. So what's the point of actually trying to help someone to improve if they are not doing what needs to be done? That means, first of all, it spends my time, wastes my time, and second of all, they'll be frustrated that someone always tells and teaches them, and so on. So it's only if you're looking for the next step. Otherwise, this is a free group. You can stay in a free group. In the men's group, we have the stage 1. Stay in that. Is for free. Follow, monitor, and whenever you're ready for the next level, you know what to do. That's the link, and you're welcome to join. So see you guys next month, or see you in a coaching call next Thursday. Hope this was great, guys. Thank you.